Hi, welcome everybody to this webinar. We are here again doing the dietitian webinar series, and I'm Kendra Francis. I'm an accredited practicing dietitian. This is our webinar 6 on mood on the menu. So it is the connection between what you eat and your mood, and it's going to give lots of success on the GLP-1 medications. My colleague has just told me that it's not shared, so I'm just going to hop off and see if I can get it to work. Just one moment. Give me a second here. Sorry, technical issues. Start again. If this doesn't work, we have a backup and my colleague can share the presentation. All right, I'll just confirm that it works. Awesome, we're all good. Okay, so mood on the menu. There's a couple of slides in the beginning. I have shortened this. If you've been here before, welcome back. And this is just to refresh for new people as well. So Apex Health are providing fully subsidised GLP-1 medications, and to ensure positive outcomes on this medication, it's mandatory requirement for you to engage with a lifestyle program. So that could be one-on-one with a dietitian. DBA give you 12 sessions within a cycle of a year. Otherwise, there's this monthly webinar with me, and you have the opportunity to engage in this program and still be eligible for the GLP-1 medical weight loss. So with this, it just gives you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about food and to help you get the most out of the medication. If you have any questions or anything like that, we're always available on contact@apex.au for any questions that you have. So anytime you need anything, send it through to that email address and it'll be forwarded on to someone that can help you. So presentation overview for today, GLP-1 medication quick refresh. Then it's our webinar on mood on the menu, which is the connection between food you eat and your mental health, and it's helping you to be successful on the GLP-1 medications. We'll go into Mediterranean diet, whole foods versus processed foods and what that means, and how to get the best out of the foods that you're buying. Like, there's lots of food choices out there. We're using your label and the Health Star rating to make sure you get the right, most nutritious options for yourself. So quick refresh, we've got GLP-1 medications. They're a weekly injectable medication that provide the right conditions for a reduction in weight. They work on several body organs and systems within the body. So your pancreas, it sort of absorbs and uses all the food in terms of carbohydrates that you're eating. So it will upregulate that process within your body and use your food efficiently. The liver can sometimes make its own energy for the body, so it's going to down regulate that. For the stomach, it stops the transition, like it slows down transition, so the food's going to be in the tummy a little longer, make you feel fuller and pull more of the nutrition out of it. And in the brain, it actually works to reduce the food noise, which is, you know, all those non-hungry eating things that go through the mind. It clears the mind a bit. So common side effects to medication. The common side effects to this medication, which happen with all medications, have both good and positive effects, but for this medication, it's nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, reflux, and fatigue. However, good news, these don't usually stick around for too long. There are some management strategies, taking smaller meals more often, so giving yourself more opportunity to get the food and nutrition in, because we still need to get enough. You've got a minimum amount of nutrition and energy you need to do your daily function. If you don't make it, you'll start to get really lethargic and fatigued. So making sure you get that. Then you've got another buffer. So you've got that weight loss buffer. If you go above that, you start to gain weight, but you just want to be nicely in the buffer. So make sure you're still eating a regular meal, not skipping if we are getting those side effects. Ensure you're getting 2 to 3 litres of water a day. Enjoy a wide variety of plant-based foods in your diet, because that will give you lots of fibre and lots of nutrition, and that will help with constipation. Limit high intake of high-fat foods, because that will slow digestion further and maybe lead to more reflux and make you feel fuller for longer if you've overeaten. And it will, if you eat slowly and pay attention to your hunger signals and just stopping when you're nice and full, so getting used to those new portion sizes that'll be a bit smaller. Important to remember when to seek help. There are some side effects that are a little bit more worrying and you need to see a doctor straight away. So severe vomiting of undigested looking foods is really important to go get that checked. Severe stomach pain that can radiate up the back is another indicator that you might need to get things checked out. Again, severe diarrhea that also looks undigested and it's sort of like a dumping quickly after you eat, or non-painful lump in the throat with a husky voice. That's really important to check out for that as well. And just the last little point there is that 20% of individuals taking GLP-1 medications become malnourished within a year of taking them. So nutrient adequacy is really important. And that's why you're here today, to learn some new information about getting a healthy diet. So with that all said, let's move on to mood on the menu. So first of all, I like to start us off with a bit of an introduction to the topic. So the components of a healthy mind. I'm a dietitian. I love food. I've dedicated my life to it. But there are more components, and I do know that, to a healthy mind. It's a well-being thing. So keeping active, so physical activity, getting adequate amounts of sleep are really important for a healthy mind and body. Stress relief, smoking cessation, and of course, healthy eating and a varied diet, which we'll dive a little bit more into. So I'm going to give you some guidelines just to start with outside of my scope, but I'm going to just run through them and give you a bit of ideas of how to get started on those as well. So keeping active, this is the physical activity guidelines from the Australian government. They suggest moderate activity or vigorous activity of up to 30 minutes on most, if not all, days of the week, and 2 muscle strengthening activities, so on different days of the week. Functional activities to target balance and things like that, coordination on 3 days, and several hours of the light intensity daily activities. So that's just, normal incidental activities that you're doing. So thinking about sort of standing up more often than sitting. So when you're sleeping, you're actually burning more kilojoules than sitting watching TV or laying down just without anything. So if you break up those, another recommendation is to limit the amount of time spent sedentary, so sitting by or watching things on your bottom. So once you get up, you're going to use twice as much energy, and it does just break up and pump the blood around the body to keep a strong cardiovascular system, which helps with mental health and keeping the blood flowing through the brain. So breaking up those long periods of sedentary behavior as much as possible. And the great news about physical activity is if you haven't started, the amazing benefits you can get with just a small amount is great. So just starting really small to build up, rather than going for the 30 minutes on most days, is just, maybe 10 minutes twice a week. And then when you get that one, just move up. But it's not going from nothing to this. It's just some guidelines as well. And let you know, motivation actually comes after as well. So sometimes it's a few steps to get there, and not thinking too much about it. So getting your clothes ready, waking up in the morning, get your clothes on before you actually think about it, go for your 10-minute walk, come back. The feeling of the benefits of the exercise happen afterwards. And so does the kilojoules that you burn. So that will help you feel a little bit more tired. So that will run into the adequate sleep. And a lot of these areas actually run into one another and help each other out. So being active during the day will make you more tired when you're ready to go to sleep. And adequate sleep is definitely part of a healthy mind. So spend time, some sleep hygiene or ideas for getting good sleep are spending time in bright light during the day. So within, 30 minutes of waking up, making sure you've got your blinds open or you're outside having a cup of coffee or something like that, just to get that equivalent brightness, wake up the circadian rhythm. Exercise regularly for better sleep, obviously, and try and keep your meal times at consistent times during the day. So that will help with your sleep time. So just making sure you're having those regular meals. So during the nighttime, a nice sleep hygiene is to avoid the heavy meals just before you go to bed. So give yourself a couple of hours after dinner without any food, so that your stomach's nice and empty and you can rest on otherwise it can be nice and yeah, it's just a nicer sleep, and then you'll wake up hungry. You've broken your fast. Avoid nicotine, alcohol, and caffeine before bed. They will disrupt nice sleep. Alcohol might make you tired, but you might wake up throughout the night, as it might mess with your rhythms of sleep. And caffeine will obviously make it hard to fall to sleep. Same with nicotine. Using a wind down or a constant routine to go to sleep does help promote sleep. Your body sort of knows what happens next. So maybe you finish your favorite show, or you turn off your TV and you go and have a shower that's nice, and get rugged up in your pajamas, clear your room, close your curtains, and, snuggle down into your nice bed. Most adults need approximately 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Some people need less or more, but that's a nice little target for you. And having the same wake and sleep times even over the weekend can help with regular sleep, easier to fall asleep and easier to wake up. And also another thing is just to provide the right environment, an enticing sleep environment for you. Put your device away at least an hour before bedtime and sleep in a cool, dark environment. It's good for sleep. Another one is stress management for healthy minds. Now, we did go through a lot of this last webinar in our mindfulness webinar. Stress can be triggered by many life events, and it's different for different people. And it's a common and normal response. It can be due to a challenging or new situations, and it's not a negative emotion always. It can be very positive. I'll give you an example of maybe my webinars when I coming up to studying for them and getting all the information together. I'm a little bit, not strange, but I'm hyper-focused. It gets me getting the work done and all the slides in order. If I started to find that it was weeks and weeks of sleepless nights and I used to wake up, thinking about it, then it would be a problematic stress and you'd need to do something about it. But it's just about managing the stress if you need to, and something that can help work and relax you if you are finding things are getting a bit stressful. So we did have a big slide on this, but this isn't an exhaustive list. Just nice activities that keep you in the present moment and can help you feel a little bit better. And they're different for different people. So sometimes if I'm having a stressful complication that I can't work out, I can go for a bit of a 10-minute walk, come back, and I have renewed vision with whatever it is. Or maybe sometimes I'm just hungry and I need to go away and fuel my brain to come back and think about something. So even as much as like having a little break for a coffee or a snack, those things are stress management and giving yourself a little bit of self-care as well. Smoking cessation. There are definitely lots of help. It is a very addictive habit to have, to want a break. So I won't go into how to do it, but I will go into the benefits. So quitting smoking, there's lots of benefits, and they start as quickly as 20 minutes after you finish your cigarette. You'll reduce resting heart rate. You've got improved oxygen levels after 12 hours, 5 days. You've got no nicotine in the body. Your sense of taste and smell will increase after a week, and then 2 to 12 weeks, your risk of heart attack is improving, has reduced, and your circulation has improved. There's less coughing after about 9 months, and then 1 to 9 months, and then 5 years, your stroke, mouth cancer, and esophageal throat cancer risk is reduced. 10 years, a reduced risk of lung cancer, and then 15 years, it's almost the same as someone who has never smoked. So overall benefits, you've got your physical, plus you've got your mental health. You save lots of money and you're free of nicotine dependence. So it is a challenging thing to do. So there's lots of support out there if it's something that you're interested in looking in. Contact us on the email contact@apex.au. There's lots of success on hypnotherapy. You've got Quitline that can help as well, external to us, but applications and things. So yeah, I'll leave that one there. The mood and food and mood. Now this is obviously where we'll dive a little bit deeper. So what is the connection? Now, back in 2017, there was lots of observational studies, but no actual research done in terms of looking at food. So the observations that we had seen around the world was that in some parts of the world, people actually lived longer, were happier, and had lower incidences of cardiovascular disease. Now, they had no idea what the connection was, but researchers really wanted to know the reason. They wanted to know, was it a healthier dietary pattern, such as in the Mediterranean, Norwegian or Japanese diets? Was it a higher compliance to what was presented to them as eating healthy? Was it more exercise, or did they go to the doctors a little bit more than what we do? But in 2017, it was a groundbreaking study that they completed. It was called the SMILES trial, and a professor at Deakin University in Victoria, Dr. Felice Jacob, she did a SMILES trial study, and they enlisted 76 participants with clinical depression. So these people had symptoms of depression. So what they did is they completed a very strong evidence study, which in terms of what you would listen to, you've got uneducated people on Instagram telling you what to do. That's not a very, that's their personal experience and they're trying to tell you what to do. Then you've got, say, a researcher or a professor that will tell you their sort of their opinion, or maybe a clinician that will tell you their opinion. That's good evidence, but to get the really strong stuff, you've got observations that we can make, and that's what they had done. But this is actually where they've enlisted these participants and divided them blindly into two groups. So you have a social support people to help, which is known and proven to help with depressive symptoms. And then there was a dietary intervention group where people were counselled for 12 weeks with a dietitian, an accredited dietitian who had been to university. So to be a dietitian, you have to have a 4-year study or 3-year undergrad with a 2-year postgrad study on top of that. So with this, you got to see us one-on-one, and we provided Mediterranean diet education for 12 weeks. So what they ask is increase your fruit, vegetables, nuts, oils, fish and legumes, which I'll go into a little bit more. But what they found was there was a significant reduction in depressive symptoms, and it was quite substantial, and it was quite groundbreaking, because this started us thinking there is a massive connection between the food that you're eating and your mood. So from here, I'm going to go into the Mediterranean diet. So this is the SMILES study modified Mediterranean diet that they educated on. So up the top, you've got the weekly. So less than 3 serves of extras or non, like our sometimes foods, up to 6 eggs a week, 2 to 3 poultry, 2 fish, 3 to 4 red meats, and 3 to 4 serves of legumes. So quite a lot of legumes in there. Alcohol is fine to have within the SMILES study, but it was no more than 2 standard drinks, and they did drink like most days. And then on a daily, it was a serve of nuts, 60 mils of olive oil, which is about 3 tablespoons, 2 to 3 dairy, 3 fruit, 6 veg, and 5 to 8 serves of whole grain. So that's quite a lot of food if you're looking at it. If you're looking at like the 60 mils of olive oil thinking, oh my goodness, that's a lot, we are sort of told that fats are something that we should kind of lower the intake of, but it is extremely beneficial for so many reasons. If you're talking to a Mediterranean person, they'll go, is that it? And sort of our look at it is that's a lot to get into, but yeah, it's something I'll talk a little bit more about. But so the other things down the bottom are daily exercise and enjoy the meals with others, which we talked a little bit about in our previous webinar as well. So enjoyment of food starts with the connections, the social, and having the right atmosphere, and of course drinking plenty of water. So this is so that one was the study pyramid, but this is more of a picture of what you would see in the Mediterranean diet. So that the other one was modified, and this is what you'd see if you wanted to have a look at that. I don't know if you want to take a photo or something like that, but yeah, I just thought I would put what they have. They've got rare occasions, less often, moderate portions, at least 2 a week, and then lots of serves at the bottom. What they also found, so they found a massive reduction in the depressive symptoms, but there was higher satisfaction with the food. They weren't looking for the outside food. It was enough to satisfy them, just to fit in all of the requirements, and there was hardly any outside food needed. So the extras that they were talking about, they found that weight was stable, or actually there was weight loss from this, which was a surprise due to the high levels of fat and high energy foods, but they were very unprocessed. Food was provided during the study, but the cost analysis that was completed at the conclusion of it actually said that it was less expensive to eat the way the intervention had subscribed, and that people would save money, and of course the reduction in the depressive symptoms. So during this, I found it was so interesting that they never ever said not to have a lot of things. They just more encouraged to eat the healthful foods. So the research for the Mediterranean diet, the areas are longevity, reducing the chronic diseases through inflammation reduction. There's lots of phytochemicals that will fight cancers, and they help with Alzheimer's and mental cognition and dementia and things like that. To get it's definitely a healthy brain, mental health diet. And it's a reduction in diabetes. So the other positive effects that you'll see when you go for your health check are reduced blood pressure, cholesterol, and improved bone health, all bonuses. So general takeaways from that, from the Mediterranean diet, is just because you don't have to take the whole diet. It's all about the components of the food and not isolating any one of them to say, if I just have much olive oil, I'll be good, or I just need to eat lots of legumes. It's about, general takeaways that you can help to improve your diet and put into your diet. So consuming red meat in moderation, and opt for leaner sources rather than fatty cuts or processed meats. Include olive oil. I always have an olive oil. I actually have, multiple bottles of olive oil, or I get the big olive oil, and I never thought I would be able to go through that, but I do. I substitute it into a lot of my baking. Instead of putting butter, I can use my olive oil and salad dressings and lots of stuffs. But not only olive oil, but polyunsaturated fats. So any type of branded vegetable oil, such as rice bran, or something that comes from a sole source like macadamia oil, avocado oil, rapeseed oil, or something like that. But don't go for plain vegetable oil, because it will have a lot of palm oil in it. So just a branded polyunsaturated oil, avoiding saturated fats. Obviously your water is important, 2 to 3 liters, just as it is on your medication, and avoiding excessive amounts of alcohol, so 2 standard drinks. Socialization and enjoyment of food. I love these pictures because the environment and the social components of the meal add to their enjoyment of them. So that will improve your mental health as well. Having those social connections, it is part of the well-being sort of picture of health. So feelings of connection play a big part. So while eating, people will switch off and they'll connect and enjoy with their food with family and friends. So even just setting the table, making sure you're clearing the table, clear away the clutter, make the experience just about food, set a place for everyone, even if it's just for you, clear it away, present your food well to yourself, put away your phone, magazines, crosswords and TV, the distractions away, take a few minutes to breathe deeply, nice into the belly, and close your eyes and start to eat and enjoy, because the more you plug into the food, the better your enjoyment of it will be. Just a quick word on the benefit of nuts, which is a part of the diet. It's got plenty of mono and polyunsaturated fats in there. The fiber, so I did do a gut health presentation and talked about the gut microbiota, which are pretty much all the little microorganisms that live in the gut that benefit and release chemicals that are helpful for the body and protect our body from any invasion of parasites or pathogens going through the gut. Because if you're thinking the mouth to it's just one tube from in to out. All the food stays outside of the body. The only time it goes in is when it's absorbed, digested and fully absorbed. So what you want to do is keep that microbiota, or bacteria and all that in the gut nice and healthy. So they're the first line of defense. So that fiber is really rich for the microbiota. They're nutrient dense, lots of phytochemicals. I'm going to use big words like polyphenols, antioxidants, vitamins and minerals. They're really just plant complexes that are in, there's hundreds and thousands of them that they know of, that they haven't even finished researching them, but they have such beneficial effects on the body. So they're packed with them. Nuts have a long shelf life. They're an easy addition to meals and snacks. You can sprinkle them on your brekkie or add them to salads and things like that. Easy to transport if you just want a small snack on the go. If you're worried you're going somewhere where won't be food, you can have a little 10 almonds and get you through. They're satisfying, and they're really good source of proteins, which we really need to watch on our GLP-1 medications, that we're getting enough proteins. So there is strong evidence in reducing depressive symptoms and improving your mental health, having the nuts as well. So they're great for a healthy heart, and with a healthy heart, the blood will pump, and that will get to the mental health as well. So clearing the blood through the brain and making sure it's oxygenated and full of nutrients. Just a study on walnuts, without any other medications or anything that involved. They had 6 walnuts, and it displaced the energy from other energy-containing sources. So it's not only having that go in, we don't absorb all the energy from nuts, but it will displace energy from other foods, lowering intake. So just a note to say that everybody is different. I've talked a little bit about the Mediterranean diet. Possibly there's some food intolerance or likes or dislikes or allergies to some of those things. There's also diagnosed health conditions and chronic diseases, cardiovascular disease or diabetes, that stop you from eating certain things. So these diets, or AKA just what we're eating, it's just to really acknowledge that they're very individual to you. There is no one nutrient. There's no superfood that will be the magic bullet for anything and have all the benefits. There's a wide body of evidence that just suggests that it's a combination of a very varied diet with a big range of nutrients in there. So really what I want to say is the main message is just enjoy what you eat. Have a look at these nice whole foods, which I'm going to go through in a minute, and stick to what you like, because otherwise if somebody's going to tell you, why don't you have this or try that or whatever, and you have other people dictating what you eat, it's likely not going to stick. You could probably go for a little while, but you might get a little bit bored. So it's really just giving yourself the freedom of all these whole foods, and I'll go into a little bit more about that. So before I do, great reasons to diversify your diet, which 30 whole plant food based items in your diet is probably a good target. It lowers your risk of nutritional deficiencies. It gives you greater pleasure in the food. There's more available to you. Sometimes, just like kids, if we try something we didn't like again, and it's cooked or prepared a different way, somebody else has made us food, sometimes we find great pleasure in it and we like it that way, but we don't like it another way. So it's just giving yourself opportunities and opening up your horizons to different foods. You've got better overall nutrition, a more diverse set of gut microbiota, or bacterias and fungi and all that sort of stuff that's going to be giving you good stuff within your gut. There's lots of antioxidants, and they have the inflammation quenching powers. So they are going to get rid of any free radicals or pathogens and things like that, or repair what's going on down there. So reduce inflammation, which inflammation leads to chronic diseases. They regulate your hormones, which also are responsible for our happiness. They are our immune warriors and supporters, so they'll keep a strong barrier against things, and they will mount defenses if anything gets in there. And it's also your brain messages as well. So assisting us through reducing our inflammation, oxidative stress, which can lead to free radicals and cancer, and improving the diversity of our guts. So with that all being said, I'll go into whole foods versus ultra-processed foods. So ultra-processed foods is probably a word that's come up quite a lot recently, because they have been doing a fair few studies. I've heard it a few times. I don't know. I'm just going to go through what it means and the different levels. So When you're looking at diversifying your diet, there's actually 6 categories of whole foods that you can dive into and see if you can just add some different nutrients into the diet to get the overall benefits. It's not one thing, it's a combination. So there's first of all, you've got your whole grains, so different types of breads, even diversifying within there. You've got your sourdough, you've got your seed, you've got your rye, really nice whole grain nutty seedy breads. You've got cereals. There's all types of different whole grain cereals out there, different types of pastas. They're making them out of pulses now, which are your legumes and things like that, where you can get spelt different types of ingredients to make them. Your rice, different types of rices, and also your grains. So some of those are really nice and different. So you've got your freekeh or you've got your quinoa. All those things can be full of different types of nutrition, and they've got different colors as well. That all different colors mean different vitamins and minerals. Fruits. Suggestion there is to choose what's in season. So when you go into the supermarket, you've got a massive fresh fruit area. But what is in season is usually in the baskets at the front. So they're usually noticeable because there's lots of them, and they're usually got a special ticket attached to them, and they're lower prices because they are fresh. They've probably been grown in Australia, which is great to support ourselves, and they've got the most nutrition if they've just been picked. So I go for what's in season. You can get lists on the internet, but that's a great way of knowing what would be in season. It's the lower price, it's got the specials, and they're at the front of the store. You can also get frozen or canned varieties, just as nutritious. Frozen especially, it'll be picked at it'll be harvested and then put straight into a freezer. So maintain all those really important nutrients. Vegetables are the same. Just to add them to any meal, have frozen veggies in there, and you can just pop it in, your casseroles or your spaghetti bolognese or anything you've got. Like, it's just think of each of your meals. Can I add some nutrition to this? What can I add? Maybe you're having toast. Maybe you'll have some avocado or tomato. Sometimes I like that on my Vegemite or something like that. What can I add to my sandwich? I like to have 3 different types of veggies on my dinner plate to give it a nice color. Like, it looks nice, regardless of whether the people eat it, my family, it's there and it looks good. But it will add nutrition, and whatever goes in helps diversify that diet. Nuts and seeds, amazing. They can be very easily transportable, like was just mentioned, but you can add it to, yogurts, breakfast, put it in your baking. You can, salad, smoothies, desserts for a little garnish or something, but it's actually got that secret nutrients in there. Don't discount it at all. Legumes, it's a hero too. You can make it the hero of it and make a bean salad, or maybe a bean casserole or something like that with lots of veg, or you can just add it to your meals. If you cut your beef in half and then add a cup of lentils to it, you can make your beef last twice as long. And you've also got that added, it's still protein, but it's got that added nutrition and fiber in there. But you can add it to pretty much anything. You can put it on a pizza with spinach and sun-dried tomatoes or something like that, mushrooms underneath the cheese. You can also, just lots of places, lots of salads and stuff like that. And herbs and spices, they're tiny, but they are wonderful for flavoring. They also reduce the need for salt, and they add those antioxidants and phytochemicals to your foods. And they're small amounts, and you can grow them in your garden, or, lots and lots. But with that, I would just say, just keep an eye on your dates on your spices, because your spices do not last forever. They usually have about a 2-year limit on them, and there's a couple of ones that can grow some alpha toxins and things like that can cause cancer. So just like paprika and cinnamon, just really watch them and just throw them out when you need to and replace them. Now on processed foods, so that's your whole foods, and just adding and diversifying as much as you can, getting like different types of foods in there any way you can, giving it a try. But then we've got our processed foods. So this is information about the ultra processed foods. So one versus the other. Ultra processed foods are usually industrially manufactured, so they don't have a lot of whole ingredients in them. They use ingredients and additives that you really don't find in your pantry. They're relatively cheap to produce. They usually are very high in energy, so energy dense, but nutrient poor, because that's not something that's going to make the company very much money. They don't put a lot of research into that. So not a lot of nutrition comes in them. So you'll eat them, feel happy for a minute, and then you'll feel really tired, lethargic, and wanting the next hit of whatever food because it's nutrient poor. Have you ever gone to the cupboard, opened up, oh, I've got nothing, I don't know what I feel like? It could be there's a nutrient deficit and your body's trying to figure it out. But the interesting point is that higher intake of these foods are linked with a higher incidence of anxiety, stress, or depression. So ultra-processed foods are likely higher in the kilojoules, higher than you need, and they have a little bit of additives like salt and sugar and things that aren't really food, not providing anything for us. So what I'm going to go into now are some classifications to help you make a decision about the level of processing and the effects this processing will have on your health. So they're called the NOVA classifications. And I'll just put a little point in the bottom there that I found was very interesting while doing my research, was that approximately 42% of the total energy intake for Australians come from ultra-processed foods. They're very easy to find, convenient, taste, palatable, and yeah, we can overeat them easily. So I'll go into the groups now. So group 1 is unprocessed or minimally processed foods. So these are natural state foods. So these have minimal processing, more like our whole foods. They're basic foods you eat straight away, vegetables, fruit, or they need minimal processing to make them safe and palatable. So eggs, meat, poultry, fish, oats, other grains, plain pastas, legumes, milk, plain yogurt, ground herbs and spices, or nuts with shells. So all of those lovely whole foods that we can just get and eat straight from our garden, or, you know, very much from the farmer's market. Group 2 is culinary ingredients. So there's another processing, a little bit of processing. So these foods are derived from the foods in group 1, and they're usually used to cook or enhance your flavor or texture of foods. They are derived from natural processes, so pressing, refining, grinding, milling, or spray drying, but not usually consumed on their own. So you wouldn't like take a teaspoon of your flour or anything like that, or generally you put your ingredients on something like honey on your toast or something like that in a drink. But it includes oil, sugars, flour, salt, cornstarch, honey, maple syrup, all of those sorts of additives that you can use in cooking to make things yum. Now, group 3 is a processed food. These foods are treated, they're using traditional processing methods that we've had for decades. They are using canning, bottling, non-alcohol fermentation, salting, and it's really used to extend the shelf life of what the food is. So the ingredients from group 1 and group 2 are used, and they're still easily recognizable as the whole food. So these are the canned fruit, veggies, tomatoes, salted fish, things that use minimal ingredients. And you could do this at home with your own kitchen. So you could make, bread, or you could can your own fruit, or make, your pickled, onions or capsicums or something like that. You can actually do these things at home. They look just like whole foods. But then you've got your processed, your ultra processed. Now these are industrial formulations produced with 5 or more ingredients, including ingredients that we do not know what they are. Sometimes there are a lot of additives, sometimes even represented in numbers. They have little, if any, group 1 items intact, but these are engineered to be hyper palatable, really delicious. And it sort of means that your body gets excited by them and can overeat on them and not stop eating. So they actually do it to have a longer shelf life. So they're factory-made biscuits, snacks, foods, instant meals, frozen desserts, preserved meat, instant noodles, margarine, some breakfast cereals, and, sugared sweetened beverages. But if you think of what is in this group, there is a big amount of discrepancies of the nutrition, because obviously we do recommend margarine, and there can be really healthy additives within them. So they're taking olive oil and hydrogenating it, but they are putting in vitamins and things within that. And you can see here there are a wide range. You've got your packet chips and things like that, or you've got your Up and Go, which are fortified with the vitamins, minerals, or your, convenience meals and stuff like that. When you're looking at these industrialized ingredients, hydrogenated and terrestrified oils, protein isolate like whey isolates, and emulsifiers, a flavor enhancer is something that would make alarm bells sort of go off. There's colorings that do nothing for food in terms of nutrition, and then non-sugar sweeteners. So those are the kinds of things. Now, when I'm talking about those and your ingredients list, I'm going to quickly cover off a little bit of label reading just to give you a little bit of an edge, so that when you go into the supermarket, you can read a label and know what you're looking for. So these are a couple of photos of things in my cupboard, and I've just highlighted the ingredients down the bottom there in yellow. So ingredients, every Australian product has to have ingredients list. They also have to have a nutrition information, so include the energy, protein, fat, carbohydrates, sugars. Sugars is a component of carbohydrates. Fiber, if they've got it, and sodium. Those are really important, that every product that has a label that is packaged or processed needs to have these on there. So it's just when you are looking at a label, I will go into the nutritional information first. Having all those in there is important. Per serve, that is actually suggested, and it's not a standard measurement for each of them. They'll have a different one. This is 2 biscuits, and I will usually have 3, so it wouldn't make any sense for me to use that. And you can't really use 31 grams against a 45 gram serving of a different cereal, so it's not really comparing like to like. So if you're ever going to use that information, always use the 100 grams. So that's the outside. They'll always have their per serve, which is a personal opinion of theirs to say this is your serve, but people can have their own portion. It might be bigger or smaller than that, unless you're getting out your scales. But your 100 gram, if you're comparing like to like, you can use the 100 gram column, and you can see what the energy is, and pick, higher protein or lower sugars. But I can go into that in another webinar, but I won't go too far into that one. But I will just say ingredients are required by Australian law. Everything within the product has to be listed, particularly another separate thing will be allergens. But they're always listed in order of how much is in the product. So these are Wheat Bix, whole grain wheat is 97%. So there's only 3% that is other things. So that's a lot of the product that is just whole grain wheat. Amazing. So, and then we have raw sugar, a bit of salt, barley extract, which is a malt, and then some vitamins and mineral in there. So that's quite a small amount of ingredients in there. The things to consider when looking at the ingredients list is try and get the less. Less is better. Avoid products with salt or sugar as the number 1. If you're looking at it, it says sugar's number 1. That's a lot of extra energy. And salt is not so good for the cardiovascular system. It can put a little pressure on your blood vessels by drawing the water in there, and putting pressure on organs and blood vessels is never good. Avoid lots of ingredients, and I'll show you what I mean in the next slide. And also, especially if they're including numbers, because numbers are chemicals, and chemicals, there is a book you can get, and I will show you in another webinar, but it's about the chemical maze. But some of these chemicals can be used for dishwashing, and they put them in the food. Like, it's a very interesting way of identifying ingredients that you put into food. So they don't usually add nutrition. They're more to increase the shelf life, the taste, the texture, color of the product, and not added for nutritional value. So be wary of those. So these are another couple of things in my cupboard. So just giving you a couple of label reading examples to compare. So when I was making a salad and I had noodles, instant noodles is what they asked for. I was on my online shopping and I just went, yep, let's get that. And so when it came, I was quite surprised by the amount of numbers and additives I had in the red packet. So these are gourmet spicy noodles, and a lot of those numbers, when I look them up, they can cause asthma and inflammation. And yeah, this safe to say these have been in my cupboard for a little while. I don't even know if the expiry is on there, but anyway, that's probably where they'll stay for a little bit. And then when I went to the supermarket, I picked up this other packet of instant noodles, and in there you can see there's very minimal amount of ingredients in that, and there's no numbers. So I will be using this this other packet. And I mean, if you wanted to use the soup powder or the flavoring that's in my noodles here, that just adds a whole nother dimension of, like, you know, triple what I've got in the ingredients list of that 5 packet. So it's just to be aware of what goes in there, and that they're not adding nutrition. They're actually probably making you a little bit more unwell. Anyway, I'll leave that. Health star rating. So this is something that the Australian and New Zealand government have collaborated on, and it's something to help you make choices without looking into labels or anything like that. So Australian, New Zealand food star rating. You can see the 5-star health rating right there. Those stars are awarded to the health of a product and are often used on processed foods. Companies get assessed, and they can choose to put it on the product or not to put it on the product. So it is up to them. It doesn't cost or anything like that. The system is an overall nutritional value for similar products. So it's on a scale of half a star to 5 stars, and it allows you quickly in the supermarket to quickly compare products of the same category and pick the one with the highest stars without going into label reading and things like that. So these products are usually displayed together. So for example, if you're in the a frozen potato section and you want to get something with the most amount of stars, that's going to tell you which is the healthier option without you having to look into labels. But you cannot, and in my example here, there's 2 yogurts. You can do the same, they'll be together. But it's not going to be very good if you're going to compare a yogurt and a breakfast cereal, because it's not going to give you an accurate level. So it has to be of the 2 the same category. So it uses a strict calculation to determine each of the ratings, and it's based on the ingredients. So ratings are increased for fruit, vegetable, nut, legumes, fiber, protein content, and then they are decreased. The rating is decreased if it has increased salt, saturated fat, sugar, and energy content. So those are the things that will go into the rating, and then you can just make an easy, quick choice when you're in the aisle if you want to pick the higher star. So it was a confusing thing when it first came out, because, you know, to increase, you just had to have fruit, veggies, and nuts and things like that. And there was, you know, McDonald's having the health star rating on their meals, but that was due to having it in a certain way with fruit juice and salad instead of you know, your chips and your soft drink and things like that. So remembering it is in the category that you're looking at. So I just thought this was very interesting. I had a bit of a look, processing costs, and it's the work that goes into making the changes to the foods. So those all need to cost, and they need to get their money back for them. Nutrients are not the only cost of the processed food. So looking at this, I've just taken a photo of potatoes, oven fries, a classic potato mash that you could get just off the shelf in the Woolies section, and some chips. So looking at potatoes, if I took a kilo of potatoes, if I just bought potatoes, it's $5.90. It's gone up a little bit lately. Potato fries, if they make that into a fry, they're $9.33 a kilogram of fries. If we want them to make our classic mashed potato, which is probably a little bit of salt, butter, or cream within them, like it says there, it's going to cost you $14.90, so 3 times, like nearly triple the price of the kilo. And then potato crisps are the very expensive potato, and it's $36.40 for a kilogram. So when you're looking at kilojoules as well, And this is taking away nutrition from it and not adding to it. You've got your potato, 245 grams of it. That's a medium potato. It's 179 kilojoules with nothing. If you just steam it, eat it, that's what it is. The other fries are, quite a bit more than that, more than double. 240 gram serve is 470. For the classic mash, it's a little bit less. It's 245 grams is 291 kilojoules. But this is something that you could do at home. The cost of them doing it for you is quite a lot if you look at the price, even though the kilojoules aren't as much as the potato fries. And then the Whopper is the kettle chips. So 245 grams of your chips is going to be 1,226 kilojoules. So yeah, I thought it was nice to look at what the cost of processing is. So thinking about, these are back up to my tips. So I'm nearly there. Thank you for staying with me. Tips to lighten the load of cooking. So if you want to start to diversify your diet, eating more whole foods, cooking at home, good ideas are to cook in bulk and freeze. Like if you are a single person and you want to cook a meal for 4 people, then you can just put it away. You can put it in a freezer bag, or you can put, depending on what it is, you can put it in a container or a microwave safe bowl and pop it in the freezer, and then you don't even have to cook in the future. It's already ready, it's there. So cook in bulk and freeze, or make a salad for 3 days running and just mix it up with a few different grains or a few different ingredients, but pop them in the containers and put them in the fridge. Plan your meals in advance is a good one. I go shopping for 3 meals and I don't care when I have them. It depends what I feel like, how much time I have, and if I don't have an ingredient, I can switch to another meal or something like that. But I always have about 3 meals in the cupboard with some sort of different meat and additives like veggies and things like that. Buying frozen vegetables is amazing. I can make a stir fry out of just deciding what kind of meat I want to get. Maybe the pork is on special or the beef or something like that, but I can just use that, put a couple of like really nice flavoring spices or vinegars, soy sauce, and make my frozen vegetables into a stir fry with rice. Canned and dried legumes, they're amazing. Just easily, can just go straight in. There's no preparing, or your dried legumes are cheap as, and they're always there. You can just prepare them and pop them in. And tinned fish, having a couple of meals of fish per week. You can do one main meal, and maybe you can have a salad with some tuna or a sandwich really quickly with your tinned fish to get your second fish meal in there. So general guidelines linked to improve your mood: increase consumption of fruit, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, which, sorry about that, it's a little spelling error. Whole grains, nuts, seeds, herbs, and spices as you tolerate them, and just experiment with them. There's some really good resources out there that tell you what goes with what. Limit your ultra-processed foods and treats, and just replace them with the minimally processed nutrient-dense ones. And as you start to bring those in, it'll push the others out and you'll feel the difference. And include the consumption of the rich omega-3s, which are your oily fishes, and you can have omega-3 enriched eggs and milk and things like that. So fiber is definitely going to give you some more nutrition for those microbiota as well. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging around. Any questions, please pop them in the chat, and I'd love to answer anything you have on any of the information that I've sent. I hope you enjoyed it. With the star rating, I understand the US, they have revamped it as it was not indicated. Health Guns is Australia. They are making changes and they are taking feedback on it, and so they've taken away the stars of some, but they are working it. So I don't know the US requirements, but I know it is a work in progress and they are refining it and redoing it. In terms of using it, it's really just important to know that you need to use it as categories, but really, if you want to improve your health, the outside of the supermarket is where the whole foods are, and the inside uses the processed, more industrialized stuff. They're really helpful for doing quick and easy meals to add things, but just watching how many you have. I don't know if I've answered that, but yeah, they do work on it. It's not the same as what it was when it was first released, and I will look into that. If you want any more, please ask a clarifying question there if I haven't answered what you wanted. Yeah, okay, cool. Well, that sounds like that was the only question, and I hope I answered it for you. But please, if you want further support and if you're interested, you've got 12 sessions with dietitians, exercise physiologists, physiotherapists, or psychologists, and you can actually have doctor's consultations, as you know. Contact us at contact@apex.au for anything, and they'll make sure it gets to the right person. If you have any questions for me that you didn't want to put on the chat line, I'd love to hear them. And I will look forward to connecting with you again on Facebook or seeing you at the next webinar. Thanks so much.